What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch back here with another NFL fantasy football video for your 2018 fantasy football season. In this video, I'm going to break down each individual position, quarterback all the way to tight end, and tell you 5 or more sleepers in this year's draft. Let's start off with the quarterback position. Tyrod Taylor is the first sleeper that comes to mind for me. Tyrod Taylor is a guy that he's on Cleveland. Cleveland has a new offensive coordinator, and they have a ton of weapons. They have Jarvis Landry coming in. They have Josh Gordon hopefully playing for majority of the season. We don't really know what's going on with him right now, but he should be good to go, and when he's on the field, he's dominant. David Njoku looks like he's going to take a step up in his sophomore year. They have a solid run game. Their offensive line is pretty good as well. So Tyrod Taylor is a guy that has had some decent fantasy outputs in the past because of his ability to run. But I feel like in Cleveland with a solid offensive coordinator in Todd Haley, being able to scheme those receivers open for him, I think Tyrod Taylor is going to have some success here in Cleveland this year, throwing to guys like Jarvis Landry and like Josh Gordon, David Njoku, and so on. So Tyrod Taylor is one to keep your eye on. If you're looking for a backup with potential high upside, Tyrod Taylor is your guy. The next guy is Alex Smith. Now, Alex Smith I'd put more into the category of being if you need a really late round starter and maybe all the other guys you like have sort of fallen off the board. They've been picked. Alex Smith is not a bad go. Alex Smith is a guy that, to me, is a low-end starter for fantasy football in, like, a deep league. And this is because I really like Washington's offense. With Kirk Cousins, Gruden has produced a number of good fantasy football seasons for quarterbacks. That's going all the way back with Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins consistently has had good seasons. And with Alex Smith there, I don't think it's too much of a downgrade for the quarterback position in Washington. You also have to think that Washington was very injured last year, very injured, especially on the offensive line, where I think they'll be a lot more healthy. And when they are healthy, they are a good offensive line. So Alex Smith should have the protection. And then you look at the run game. That's, again, they lost Darius Geis. So they're not going to be overly reliant on the run game. So a lot of it is going to be on the shoulder of Alex Smith to get it done in close games and to throw the football. Jamison Crowder should have a good season. Jordan Reed is back and healthy. That's going to be a huge bonus to this passing game as he's the #1 guy there. And then they added Paul Richardson, who definitely can't be worse than Terrell Pryor. And also they have Josh Doctson. So there's a number of weapons there. Not big names, but guys that can get it done. And I think this offense, along with the weapons like Crowder and Reed, really do fit what Alex Smith likes to do. So Alex Smith, I think, is a low end if you're kind of panicking at the end of your draft. Pick him as your starter, and I think you'll be fine with that. Big Ben. Now, Big Ben is going very late. He's actually going as the 14th quarterback off the board. We've seen in seasons past, he's maybe gone a little bit too high, around the 5 or 6 range for quarterbacks. But last year, in the second half of the season, Big Ben Roethlisberger was the second best fantasy football quarterback. So if Big Ben can carry over what he had in that second half of the season with the breakout of Juju Smith-Schuster and carry that into this year in 2018, we're talking about a great fantasy quarterback for you that you can get at a very cheap price. And we already know what he has on his offense. A very good offensive line. Yes, he switched the offensive coordinator, but he had a lot of friction there with Todd Haley. A good run game that supports him. And even if Le'Veon Bell is like injured or suspended or not showing up to the game, that maybe even puts more on Big Ben's shoulder to get it done. So that actually helps him in a way. Then you have Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster. Pittsburgh's offense, again, is going to be one of the best in the league, and I think you can get him at a great price. Eli Manning, 20th quarterback off the board right now. Yes, I've said numerous times I'm not a huge fan of Eli Manning, the real-life quarterback. But as a fantasy quarterback, Eli Manning this year is going to put up some big numbers. We saw last year he put up some really good games, and that was with a bad coach and really a lack of weapons. And this year he's getting one of the best receivers in the game back, Odell, his go-to guy, his #1 target. And a guy that's really put up huge numbers for him in the past. And then you have Evan Ingram, who broke out last year. They have a rapport there. Sterling Shepard is coming back as well from injury. And they added Saquon Barkley at the running back position, who's great out of the backfield and is only going to open things up. Plus, they added Nate Solder at left tackle. So you added a lot of weapons. You have a lot of weapons for Eli Manning. All he's really got to do in Pat Shurmur's scheme is identify the read and go to the option. I think Eli Manning is going to improve vastly this season on his on-the-field product because of the coordinator, because of the players around him, and because the offensive line is going to be a little bit better. Not saying he's the greatest quarterback in the world or a guy that you'd be wanting to take early in your drafts, but if you're looking for a guy like Tyrod Taylor who's in a situation that's very favorable with a lot of weapons that could potentially play a top 12 fantasy season, then Eli Manning is your guy. And the last one is Mitch Trubisky at the quarterback position. Trubisky is my young player that could potentially have a breakout season. If I'm in a 2-quarterback league, Mitchell Trubisky is probably the second quarterback I'm going to get, or one of these younger kind of breakout sort of guys, because Trubisky's going at a very affordable price. He's the 22nd quarterback off the board, and he's a young guy that has everything going his way. The running game that he had last season is still there, but you add on the fact that they added Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel, Trey Burton, Anthony Miller to this receiving core, plus you have a new coach in Matt Nagy who had a ton of success with Alex Smith in Kansas City and is an offensive coach and is going to open up the passing game for Trubisky. Trubisky could have that second-year jump that we witnessed with Carson Wentz. Not saying that's happening for him, but I think it could happen, and it's in the realm of possibility because he has a ton of talent. Plus, Trubisky can run as well, so you can get some points there as well. So Mitchell Trubisky is that young guy that you might want to take a flyer on at the end of your drafts at the quarterback position. At running back, we're going to start off with a sort of, people see him as a handcuff, Matt Breida. To me, Matt Breida is actually going to be more than a handcuff for McKinnon. I think with Kyle Shanahan's offense, we've always seen him operate with more than one running back. Even last year, Breida had some moments in games where he touched the football quite a bit, and I don't really see McKinnon as just a workhorse back. I don't see him as a guy that can carry and touch the ball 30 plus times in one game. I think he is going to need some help in that department. Breida has some versatility to his game. It's his second year in the offense, and Kyle Shanahan really trusts him. So I feel like Breida is going to have another solid year this year and probably even up his stock from last year. He apparently is looking really good in training camp in the offseason. So I like him maybe later in rounds. He's going the 49th running back off the board. If you can get him at that point, it's a steal. Corey Clement, 45th off the board. He is a guy that, very much like Matt Breida, showed some promise last year in moments, maybe even more so than Breida, and he's on the Philadelphia Eagles, where they didn't just pay a running back a ton of money to be their starting running back. They have Jay Ajayi, but at any point, Jay Ajayi could stink, fumble, or just become injured, because we've seen it before. With Corey Clement, I really like what his game brings. You saw him in the Super Bowl, his versatility to catch the football, run. He also plays a bit of special teams. The Eagles love this guy, and there's nobody behind him to really take any touches away. So if Corey Clement were ever to be catapulted into that stratosphere of the number one running back on his team, he would be at least a top 2 running back for your fantasy football team. Chris Carson is probably, his stock's going up as I speak right now, but Rashad Penny is injured. And I still believe in Rashad Penny this year as a fantasy running back, but Chris Carson is a guy that's very intriguing because of all the running backs last year for the Seahawks, he was the one guy that was actually successful. And this year, he is supposedly the starting running back at this moment in time. He still has a lot of talent. I like what I've seen from him in the games I've watched, in the moments I've seen. He is a powerful, strong runner. This is a guy that I could see being a starting running back in the NFL. He does have a bit of explosion to his game, and I think Carson, if he's given the opportunity and Rashad Penny is a little bit more banged up than we thought, he could definitely be worthy of a late selection and a sleeper in your draft. Aaron Jones of the Packers. Now, of all the running backs that are going off the board for the Packers, you talk about Jamal Williams and Ty Montgomery. I think Aaron Jones is the most talented back on that team. And yes, he's suspended early in the season, but I think if it's like the last round, 2 rounds, 2 rounds left, and you're just looking for a flyer at running back, Aaron Jones could be your guy. I mean, once he comes back from suspension, he's going to be put in there. He's not going to be like the starter right away, but he's at least going to be given some opportunity to prove he has the ability to be a starter, because to me, he has the best breakaway speed, the best physical ability of any of these running backs, and to me, he's the best pure runner of any of them. Ty Montgomery is a pass catcher. Jamal Williams doesn't strike me as an overly athletic #1 running back in the NFL. So I wouldn't mind taking a chance on Aaron Jones, although he is suspended for a week or two this year. Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler is my last sleeper at running back. To me, he reminds me a lot of Danny Woodhead from the Chargers and former Patriot Jet as well, and Raven as well. But Austin Eckler, he's a small back that is a really good pass catcher, that's great in the screen game. He has good vision, and I think if Melvin Gordon, he's not going to be carrying every single ball and catching every single pass. So that being said, somebody's going to have to take some of the volume away. Austin Eckler can be that guy, and for whatever reason, if Melvin Gordon misses a game or if he gets injured, Austin Eckler can definitely be that guy. And I even feel like when Melvin Gordon is playing, Eckler could develop a bigger role if he is showing that his volume that he's getting is really producing, and he's really productive with his carries and with his catches. So you could see Eckler turn into that new Danny Woodhead for the Chargers offense, and I could see it happening. The wide receiver position, I'm going to start off with DJ Moore, which I'm trying to get in most of my drafts this year. I feel like he's going to end up being the #1 receiver on the Panthers. I really like his ability as a receiver. He was the #1 guy drafted this year at that position in the NFL draft. And he just has this ability with the football to make moves, make guys miss. He is great in one-on-one catch situations, and he has just speed to kind of scare defensive backs, which is always promising. Plus, Cam Newton's looking for new targets to throw to. I think DJ Moore could be that rookie receiver that really breaks out. Mike Williams is the rookie last year that was picked very high for the Chargers, was injured. This year he's coming in, and somebody's going to have to replace the Hunter Henry red zone production. Mike Williams could be that guy. Nelson Aguilar. Alshon Jeffrey is currently injured. He has not been seen at camp. He is going to probably play right away in the regular season, but Nelson Aguilar is a guy that's very sneaky because he is a slot receiver. He's going to, especially in PPR leagues, get a lot of catches, and you could see him slowly take over that #1 volume spot as the Eagles receiver because Alshon Jeffrey is banged up and injured. Calvin Benjamin is the #1 receiver for the Bills. There's no doubt about it. There's no one really in his vicinity. And to me, if Josh Allen ends up being the quarterback for Calvin Benjamin, that could be a good combination because Allen's definitely going to give him some chances in the red zone and even deep passes to make something happen. Cameron Meredith is going to be, in my opinion, the #2 for the Saints this year. And any #2 for the Saints offense is worthy of a selection at wide receiver because they have Drew Brees and Sean Payton, and the list goes on. Especially with Mark Ingram not being there for the first few weeks, that's going to take away from their run game a little bit, and they're going to be passing a little bit more, so Meredith may get some volume there. Anthony Miller, I think, is going to end up being second behind Allen Robinson in terms of the wide receiver depth chart for the Bears. He's going to be the slot receiver there, but he's, again, like Nelson Aguilar, probably going to get a lot of receptions and a lot of opportunity through the air. And he's a very good route runner, a rookie receiver that I'm very high on, so pay attention to him. And John Ross is the last one. He's going 65th off the board. But if there was ever a flyer, it's John Ross. I mean, the Bengals got rid of Brandon LaFell, and you'd have to think that is in faith that their other receivers besides A.J. Green are going to produce. So that being said, John Ross has shown some flares in camp, some ability, and maybe, in a deep league, there's worse players to pick than John Ross, a guy that's probably going to be given all the opportunity in the world to be the #2 receiver for the Bengals. At tight end, Charles Clay, he was the #1 target for the Bills offense last year. Do I have to really say much more? I mean, he is going to get some touchdowns. He's going to have some good games, and he's going to be a guy that's going very late in drafts because he's on the Bills, but he is one of the #1 or #2 target on that team. Tyler Eifert. Tyler Eifert's going very late in drafts, but I feel like if he proves that he's healthy, people will start picking him more quickly because obviously he's proven when he's healthy, he's a dominant player. Ricky Seals-Jones, the Cardinals are looking for somebody to step up behind Larry Fitzgerald other than David Johnson to catch some footballs. And Ricky Seals-Jones showed that he could be that guy at tight end last year. A lot of athletic ability, could be him this year in Arizona's offense. And Luke Wilson of the Detroit Lions. Luke Wilson was never given the opportunity in Seattle, and I always felt like he was an underrated, under-the-radar player. This year with Matt Stafford, I feel like he could have some moments. Maybe he's not a guy you draft, but maybe he's a guy you pick up occasionally with a good matchup that has some good weeks. And then finally, Austin Seferian-Jenkins. I really liked him as a streaming candidate last year for the Jets. He's now on the Jaguars. And with the openness of the receiver core in Jacksonville and the tight end situation where you don't really know who's the number one, hey, it could be Austin Seferian-Jenkins, especially in the red zone. So that is the sleepers, my sleepers, guys that are going very late in drafts that you could pick up to fill out your last couple spots on your team and potentially get something good out of. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe for more Bottom Line View and NFL content. It's Mitch of the Bottom Line View. Peace out.